Inside the halls of Zhenyan Sect, the atmosphere was heavy and final. An elder, his voice echoing through the chamber, stood with authority as he pronounced judgment. Yi Chen, an outer disciple, had suffered the rupture of his dantian, an affliction that stripped him of the ability to cultivate. For this, the elder declared him expelled. From that moment forward, Yi Chen was forbidden from ever setting foot upon the mountains of Zhenyan Sect, not even by a single step. Yi Chen attempted to defend himself, insisting that the sect bore responsibility for his condition. But the elder cut him off coldly, branding him a piece of trash who dared to make excuses despite his worthlessness. Yi Chen struggled to accept this. After everything he had done for the sect, is this how he was going to be treated? 3 days earlier, Yi Chen had been seen darting through a dense forest, moving swiftly from branch to branch with a box clutched tightly in his grasp. A sharp object flew past, narrowly grazing his cheek. He halted immediately and shouted into the woods. From the shadows, a figure emerged, wearing a smile that did not reach his eyes, Lu Zhai from Qingyun Sect. With a casual air, Lu Zhai dismissed any pretense of secrecy. He demanded the elixir, warning that if Yi Chen handed it over, there might still be a chance for his pathetic life to be spared. Yi Chen unsheathed his sword and swung it with force toward his opponent, refusing to yield. But the moment his blade cut through the air, Lu Zhai was no longer in sight. A silhouette flickered behind him. Before Yi Chen could fully react, a fan swept toward his neck. He twisted in time to lessen the blow, but a sharp sting marked a shallow wound. Lu Zhai's speed left little room for error, and the next strike could be fatal. Without pause, Lu Zhai launched into a rapid barrage of palm strikes. Each hit landed cleanly, forcing Yi Chen backward through sheer force. He dug his sword into the ground to stop himself, dragging a line through the earth before regaining his footing. Though battered, Yi Chen remained upright. The blows had left bruises and scrapes, but his internal organs remained untouched. It was clear his opponent had full control over the fight and was deliberately holding back. Yi Chen lashed out with his sword again and again, yet Lu Zhai evaded each strike with ease. With a casual motion, Lu Zhai swept his hand toward the blade, deflecting it. The impact tore the weapon from Yi Chen's grasp and sent it flying. No longer amused, Lu Zhai began to gather his strength. His kai surged, coiling around him before rushing toward Yi Chen. A concentrated finger strike followed, aimed directly at the abdomen. The force shattered Yi Chen's dantian on impact, sending blood from his mouth as pain surged through his body. Powerless and fading, Yi Chen collapsed. The battle had never been a challenge for Lu Zhai, he had merely toyed with him. As Yi Chen's vision dimmed, he saw Lu Zhai retrieve the box containing the elixir. The world around him faded as his eyes closed. Back in the present, the elder addressed Yi Chen, stating that the sect had nursed him back to health over the past 3 days. According to the elder, that act alone was more than sufficient repayment. Yi Chen referred to the man as Elder Wu and spoke of having grown up within the sect since childhood. Yet the coldness he now faced revealed the true depth of the elder's disregard. Turning his back, Yi Chen declared that from that day forward, he no longer belonged to Zhenyan Sect. As he descended the long staircase from the hall, whispers rose among the surrounding disciples. Murmurs spread, branding him as trash and useless. They understood what had happened. Yi Chen had been cast out. Some disciples watched in silence, conflicted. A few considered seeing him off out of respect, but others dismissed the idea, arguing that he was no longer a cultivator and thus no longer one of them. Among the crowd, Zhao Kang stepped forward, a sneer forming as he spotted him. With a mocking tone, he loudly called out, drawing attention to Yi Chen's presence. Yi Chen recognized him but continued walking without pause. Zhao Kang mocked him further, stepping closer with feigned concern and exaggerated pity. Then, with a sudden movement, Zhao Kang grabbed Yi Chen's shoulder, pulling close and jeering at him not to leave so easily. When Yi Chen responded with clear rejection, Zhao Kang's expression twisted into open contempt. He belittled Yi Chen, taunting him with the weight of his lost status. Spreading his legs, Zhao Kang blocked the path and shouted his demand. If Yi Chen wished to leave, he should crawl through his legs. He promised a reward of spirit stones, but the offer was clearly made to humiliate. Zhao Kang laughed and Yi Chen could only look at him in contempt. Onlookers murmured uneasily, one disciple voicing that perhaps Zhao Kang had gone too far. But Zhao Kang turned sharply, silencing them with a threat, and no one dared to challenge him further. Before Yi Chen could respond, movement behind him caught Zhao Kang's eye. A girl was approaching, Jai Ning Shuang. Her appearance drew the attention of the disciples, who quickly spread word of her presence. She was striking, her slender frame and expressive eyes drawing stares from all directions. Zhao Kang's demeanor shifted instantly. Gone was the cruelty, replaced by a performative grace. He moved toward Ning Shuang, attempting to present himself as someone of status. But she walked past him without hesitation, her gaze cold and disinterested. She stopped only when she reached Yi Chen. In silence, she looked at him. Yi Chen didn't speak. As she continued walking, she offered him a quiet word of farewell. Yi Chen took note of her expression as he passed her by. He remarked to himself that she had changed. She remained silent, her face unreadable. Before departing, Yi Chen spoke once more, wishing her well. He then left the sect grounds, carrying a small bundle, and entered the forest. Night fell. Beneath the moonlight, Yi Chen paused in the woods, alone with his thoughts. His eyes lifted to the sky as memories surfaced, moments spent in the sect. He remembered a time when Elder Wu had gently lifted him as a child, and the laughter of disciples who had once vied for the same affection. That warmth was now distant. His face darkened with sorrow, and as he stared at the moon, wondering what a home truly means, a sudden streak of light flashed across the sky. Then another, and a third. Yi Chen's eyes followed their descent. Without hesitation, he moved swiftly in their direction, eager to witness their landing. A loud explosion rang out in the forest ahead. Light burst across the sky, and Yi Chen shielded his face. When it dimmed, he pushed through the brush to get a clearer view. Ahead, smoke rose from a patch of scorched earth. He stepped closer, eyes fixed on the glow. Deep within the forest, a golden flame burned steadily atop the scorched earth. Drawn by its glow, Yi Chen stepped forward. As he reached out, he felt an uncanny sense of kinship with the flame, both of them displaced, without a home. The flame rose gently from a cluster of scattered stones and floated toward him, settling upon his outstretched hand. Yi Chen studied it closely, impressed by its presence. He raised his other hand above it, and the flame responded, drifting upward and merging into his fingertip. A sensation stirred within him. Deep inside his body, the broken dantian began to shift. Where once it was shattered and lifeless, a swirling vortex of light took shape, forming a smooth, circular surface resembling water. For a brief moment, Yi Chen exhaled in astonishment. The impossible had occurred, his dantian had healed. But that moment was short-lived. A sudden sharp pain surged through him as beams of light impaled the newly formed core. He doubled over, clutching his abdomen as the force racked his body. When he opened his eyes again, their glow reflected the transformation occurring within. Above the restored dantian, a new space had appeared, a spiritual sea, vast and unknown. In the realm of cultivation, such a sea was said to reside beyond the limits of the human world, accessible only to those who reached the deep void stage. Light began to flow in from the forest, threads of energy streaming through the trees and gathering around Yi Chen. As the final traces of light spiraled around him, the golden flame within Yi Chen's abdomen absorbed them completely. The energy surged inward, and his body could no longer endure the strain. He collapsed onto the forest floor as darkness gave way to the soft light of dawn. By morning, he was lying on a bed within a sunlit room. A child sat nearby, whistling cheerfully at a table. When Yi Chen stirred awake, the boy turned to him with a smile, greeting him with surprise. Yi Chen asked where he was, and the boy explained that this was Manhua Sect. He recounted how, the night before, Yi Chen had been discovered unconscious at the base of the hill. His grandfather had found him and brought him back for care. Lying still, Yi Chen recalled the reality of his circumstances. In the Great Chu Kingdom, a single school divided into 3 dominant sects held influence, among them, the Poison Tyrant School in the north and in the south, Zhenyang Sect, Zhenyun Sect, and Hengyue Sect. Not long ago, he had been expelled from Zhenyang, and now, by a twist of fate, he had awakened in Hengyue, their rival. The boy seemed to sense his fatigue and promptly ran outside, announcing that he had something prepared for him to eat. Left alone, Yi Chen took the moment to reflect. The events of the previous night had not been a dream. The golden flame still resided within his body. He raised his hand and summoned it, its glow answering his call. He regarded it with resolve, declaring that it would one day aid him in his revenge. Outside, the boy called to him again, urging him to come eat. Yi Chen replied that he was on his way. Stepping out, he was greeted by the boy and his grandfather beside a modest table. The elder welcomed him with a smile, offering a simple meal and inviting him to help himself. Near the table stood a massive eagle. Its presence caught Yi Chen's attention, and he wondered whether it was a spirit beast. The boy announced the start of the meal, while the elder encouraged Yi Chen to eat, noting that he must be hungry. Yi Chen, mindful of the hospitality, tried to express his thanks. The elder brushed it off, saying it was merely an act of kindness toward someone in need. As Yi Chen took his seat, the eagle fixed him with a sharp stare, unsettling in its intensity. Noticing this, the boy playfully scolded the eagle and tossed it meat, immediately softening the beast's demeanor. Then, turning back to Yi Chen, the elder posed a question. He asked if Yi Chen was a martial artist and from which sect he hailed. Yi Chen answered with a trace of hesitation, claiming no ties to any sect or clan and identifying himself only as a loose cultivator. The elder regarded him with mild regret, remarking that it was unfortunate for someone in the prime of youth to remain without a sect. He advised that joining one would grant access to cultivation resources and remove the burden of uncertainty from the path ahead. Yi Chen agreed with the reasoning. Being a lone cultivator carried constant danger, while a sect offered at least some protection and regular supplies to aid cultivation. The elder then asked directly if he would be interested in becoming a disciple of Hengyue Sect. Yi Chen expressed interest, but inquired about the qualifications required for entry. With a smile, the elder assured him that it would not be an issue. He would personally prepare a letter of recommendation. Yi Chen thanked him in advance, and the elder replied warmly, calling their meeting a matter of fate. At that moment, the eagle by their side fixed its gaze sharply toward the gate. The wooden door burst open with a loud crash, and a man stepped through wearing a crooked, malicious smile. He took in the sight of the table and their meal, remarking on it with mocking ease. The boy's expression darkened. He demanded to know what Zhang Tao was doing there. Zhang Tao ignored the question, his tone turning harsh as he demanded that the elder hand over what he had come for or face the consequences. The elder replied that he did not possess what Zhang Tao sought, but the man advanced on him regardless. With a sudden motion, Zhang Tao overturned the table, his voice rising in a threat. The eagle launched itself at him in defense as the boy shouted, calling him a thief. The great bird hovered in front of Zhang Tao, but the intruder's hand lit with Kai. With an aggressive shout, he struck. The blow sent the eagle crashing to the ground, drawing a cry of alarm from the boy. As the child rushed to the injured beast, Zhang Tao fixed him with a cruel smile and taunted him, claiming to have techniques far worse than death. He again demanded what he had come for, hinting at another attack. Before his words could finish, a hand gripped his shoulder. Zhang Tao turned to find Yi Chen behind him, his expression cold and carrying an unmistakable edge. A fist connected squarely with his face. Reeling from the blow, Zhang Tao clutched at the fresh bruise, shouting his outrage. But before he could finish his threat, Yi Chen seized his arm and hoisted him upside down. With a single, decisive motion, he slammed Zhang Tao into the ground. From the side, the elder looked on in astonishment. Zhang Tao, a cultivator at the second stage of Kai condensation, had been defeated in a single exchange. Even if Yi Chen was a skilled fighter, the raw force behind the move was striking. Without further delay, Yi Chen dragged Zhang Tao to the gate and hurled him outside like refuse, warning him to better his conduct under the eyes of the heavens. That night, the elder expressed his gratitude for Yi Chen's actions. Yi Chen dismissed the thanks, saying he had only done what was necessary. The elder then revealed his own identity, an elder of MANHUA sect who had been relegated to tending a small spirit garden due to a grave mistake. Zhang Tao, he admitted, was his disciple, and he blamed himself for failing to guide him properly. Yi Chen replied that entry into a sect and one's growth within it depended on personal ability, and that the fault lay with Zhang Tao alone. The boy added that Zhang Tao's goal had been to steal his grandfather's celestial skill book. Over the years, the elder had given away many things, and Zhang Tao had come repeatedly to take more, causing constant trouble for them both. Yi Chen was aware that the MANHUA sect guarded 3 sacred treasures, one of which was the celestial skill. Once bound to a cultivator, it could rapidly increase the bearer's true Kai in a short span of time. Such a skill was rare and highly coveted, rarely seen beyond the sect's deepest vaults. Yet somehow, the elder he had met possessed it. On the following morning, the elder soon informed Yi Chen that the recommendation letter was complete, and he could make his way up the mountain the next day. He urged Yi Chen not to squander his talent and handed him a beginner's manual, advising that he read it during his spare time. Not long after, deep within the forest, Yi Chen sat in meditation, the golden flame within him active and steady. Rising from his seated posture, he paused briefly, then called forth the rushing lightning palm. Violent arcs of lightning surged from his palm in response. Exhaling, he steadied himself. He had successfully acquired the technique, a powerful thunder-based attack. Such a move placed great strain on the body. But with the true fire tempering his frame, his bones and tendons had grown resilient enough to withstand it. The MANHUA sect itself was vast, organized into 1 temple, 1 hall, 2 gardens, 3 peaks, and 8 pavilions. The Jifa temple served as the place where elders were judged for their wrongdoings, while the Jai Lu Hall functioned for the sect's disciples. Additional details about these 3 peaks and 8 pavilions remain, but let's reserve their discovery for Yi Chen. Inside one of the sect's halls, Yi Chen presented the recommendation letter and introduced himself before the gathered elders, stating that it came from Senior Zhang. The elders exchanged surprised looks at the mention of the name, noting how unusual this was. Discussion arose over who should take Yi Chen as a disciple. One of the elders asked his age, and when Yi Chen replied that he was 16, the 3 elders abruptly excused themselves and left. The remaining elder tried to stop them, but was told that Yi Chen's cultivation was insufficient. With few options left, he proposed that Yi Chen join as an outer sect disciple and asked if he would accept. Yi Chen agreed, and the elder recorded his name onto a jade registration tablet. The elder then handed over the jade tablet, explaining that as an outer sect disciple, Yi Chen would not be granted access to inner sect techniques or treasures. The tablet would allow him to receive only a single bottle of elixir. Yi Chen accepted both the jade tablet and the elixir with thanks. The elder encouraged him to train diligently, telling him to return in 3 months for evaluation. He also directed Yi Chen to the weapon pavilion to select a spirit weapon. Following these instructions, Yi Chen went to the pavilion and spoke with its caretaker, Chow Tai Fuk. The man asked who he was, and Yi Chen introduced himself as a newly appointed outer sect student sent by Elder Kwang Yu. Recognizing the elder's name, Chow Tai Fuk granted him entry, but warned that outer disciples were restricted to the 1st floor and advised him not to wander to the 2nd. Inside the 1st floor, Yi Chen examined the available weapons. None impressed him. Everything he inspected was of low quality. Yi Chen searched the 1st floor of the weapon pavilion, moving from rack to rack. Some weapons felt far too light in his grip, while others proved entirely unsuitable. None met his needs, and the prospect of leaving empty-handed grew stronger with each passing moment. Just as he was about to give up, a surge of golden flame erupted from his abdomen. The flame extended outward, pulling his attention toward a corner of the building. Following its lead, he came upon a greatsword, its hilt bearing a distinct inscription. The carved characters spelled out, "Heaven's Breaker." Lifting the weapon, Yi Chen gauged its weight to be around 200 kilograms. Wielding it in battle could exhaust him to the point of collapse long before the enemy managed to strike him down. The weapon's design was peculiar. Its tip was unsharpened, making it useless for cutting. Yet, its mass made it formidable for smashing. With that in mind, he decided it would be his choice. When he emerged from the pavilion, the caretaker's eyes fell on the sword. The man remarked on Yi Chen's small frame and questioned why he had selected such an iron broadsword over the many others available. Yi Chen replied that it was no ordinary weapon and asked about its origin. The caretaker explained that the sword had been in the Celestial Weapon Pavilion since before his tenure began. It had likely rested there for over a century, but its history was unknown. He warned that its weight was abnormal and suggested Yi Chen take something lighter. Yi Chen refused, and the caretaker, calling him stubborn, allowed him to leave with it. As Yi Chen walked away, several disciples took notice. Recognizing him as the new outer sect recruit, their eyes also settled on the sword strapped to his back. One speculated that perhaps Yi Chen possessed more strength than he appeared to, while another remarked that his judgment might not be sound. Their attention shifted when one of them spotted figures descending through the sky, disciples of the Zhang Yang sect. Questions quickly arose about their presence, and another explained that in 3 months, the Zhang Yang sect, Qing Yun sect, and their own Hangyue sect would be holding a competition. One disciple remarked on the beauty of a female among the arrivals, likening her to a goddess. Another suggested that the visitors were there to discuss the upcoming event. Yi Chen's gaze followed the flying disciples. Among them was someone he recognized, and the sight stirred his resolve for future revenge. High above on one of the flying swords, Jai Ning Shuang glanced downward, sensing a familiar aura. Her fellow disciple asked if something was amiss, but she answered that it was nothing.